Lieutenant Robert Shuford, and I took you back to my home waters off of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and the Atlantic Ocean. And right now we're hooked up. So stick around. We got a fun show coming to you. Just hope we get these fish in. Keep watching the show. We'll be right back. For all of us in the military, we know how great it is to get back home and do the things we love. I know the scenery looks a little different than Camp Pendleton today. That's because we're not at Camp Pendleton. I'm taking you back to my old stomping grounds of North Carolina. We're going to be fishing out of Courthouse Bay at Camp Lejeune. And I'm going to take you out in the Atlantic Ocean and show you some of the great fishing action that you can get into if you're ever stationed on the East Coast. We're going to be fishing with my dad, and an old buddy of mine, Staff Sergeant Steve Dominguez, on his boat, the Spanish Mac. With Camp Lejeune to our left and Topsail Island to our right, we shot out of the New River Inlet for a great day on the water. Now before we get started, we have to catch bait. Our preferred bait while going out is any kind of live bait. And a lot of times different types of sardines, herrings, and mackerel will school up around structure offshore that we can jig up with little bait rigs. Here my dad and Staff Sergeant Dominguez are jigging up just that type of bait for us. You never know what's going to be biting that day, and it's always good to have a surplus of bait just in case. And today was definitely one of those days. On this trip, we started off trolling. Our setup today included 4 rods, 2 on downriggers and 2 with live baits on the surface. We're using light wire leader and 2 treble hooks, and just hooking that live bait right through the nose and letting it drift out the back of the boat, anywhere from 30 to 100 feet back. The way we're trolling actually has a name. On the East Coast, we call it slow trolling, which means we troll just as fast as the fish would swim naturally. Here, Dominguez puts the bait out, sets the drag just right, and ensures the clicker is on so we can hear the sweet scream of the reel as the fish peels line. It didn't take long for my dad to get in a battle with a monster from the deep. We didn't know what this thing was when it first hit, but we knew it was big. It's always good to have 2 to 3 people when you're fishing like this to work as a team. As soon as fish bite, the other team members need to reel up the downrigger weights and bring in the other rods so that the fish that's hooked doesn't get tangled in the other lines. We're going to check in with Dad periodically throughout the show to see how he's doing with the monster from the deep and see if he ever gets it up. As Dad continues the good fight, let's get into some of the other action that happened throughout the day. Oh, double, 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 double! Triple, triple, triple! Oh man, I gotta put the camera down! Look at this, look at this, look at this! Ah! What happened? We had a triple. We had 3 hits all at one time. Right now we got 2 mahi-mahi. California or the West Coast, they call them Dorado. All right, we got a double. Me and Staff Sergeant Dominguez. Out here in North Carolina, Atlantic Ocean trolling. Yeah. Got a double, mahi-mahi. This is what I'm talking about. Nice mahi-mahi right here. All right. Yeah, good mahi-mahi. Catches some handcaps. All right. Now we're just scratching the surface with those mahi-mahi. But let's see how Dad's doing with the monster from the deep. Dominguez had already pulled the other baits out of the water, so all we could do was sit back and watch and hope that Dad could get the big one in.
Good job. Boat up around over there.
A big concern was the cable that anchored the buoy we were fishing by. This is another point where good teamwork is critical between the person fighting the fish and the person positioning the boat. I don't think we're landing this one anytime soon, so let's see some more fish we caught. A fish that was biting like crazy out there was the ever-popular East Coast favorite, the king mackerel. It's typical to catch these schooling, smaller kings throughout the summer months. We may not have gotten any this day, but it's very common to catch 30-pounders or bigger, especially in the fall. September, October, and November are the best months to catch a big king in North Carolina. In the fall, it's not uncommon to catch one 30, 40, 50, or even bigger. And a lot of the fish caught over 30 pounds are actually caught within 5 miles of the shore. King mackerels are probably one of the most popular game fish throughout the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico. We didn't get any of the big ones today. All of them were probably 5 pounds or smaller, but they sure kept us busy and made the day fun.
This guy's the keeper right here. They have to be 24 inches. This one right here is 30, so we're gonna keep him.
King too. Coming out here. Good fishing day out here in the Atlantic Ocean, not the Pacific. Went out of Camp Lejeune this morning, out of Courthouse Bay Marina. Now we're catching fish. Hold on. Get some pliers. There we go. Easy release. Got another hit on the downrigger. Ah! Knocked him off. That's okay, because he was a small king. Too small to keep anyways. It's Sometimes the best thing to do is just tighten up the drag. If he comes in, he comes in. If not, oh well, just pop him off. We're using wire leader, light wire leader. Simple, 2 treble hooks, 1 in each hand here. 2 treble hooks, and we just hook 1 fish right through his nose, right through the front, on the front hook, and then you let the tail hook just dangle in the back. And most of the time they get hooked on that tail hook in the back. You don't have to put that in the fish. Just hook that first hook, boom, right through the nose, and you just let that back hook dangle, and they tear it up. If you look at this reel, as I'm reeling in the fish, I move the line left to right, so you get an even line spread across the reel. You don't just want to reel it in straight. You just get a big bulge right there in the middle. As you're reeling, you're going to go left to right with your thumb right here, or however you can figure it out. I like to hold it up above the reel and just move the line left to right as I'm reeling in the fish. Just get some a nice, even spool. There he is, right there, another little king. Let's just be schooled up here. Go ahead and let this one go. Catching them all day long. No reason to keep a whole bunch of little kings. All right. Here's Dad and Dominguez with one of the many double hookups we had that day. 2 more king mackerels coming up. The only problem with catching so many small king mackerels is that they kept eating all of the live bait. We had to stop 2 to 3 times throughout the day to get more live bait. We were fishing about 12 miles out at a spot called the E-Buoy. We couldn't have picked a better day to go. In the days leading up to our trip, the seas were 4 to 6 feet and luckily mellowed the night before with a sudden wind shift from the west.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to put a bait out, and as soon as it hits the water, look at that. That's what you call good fishing.
Looks like he's still hooked up, and I don't think it's coming in anytime soon. For any of you who are just tuning in, let me give you a quick update. We're fishing out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. We went out a New River Inlet. We're trolling with live bait for king mackerels, mahi-mahi, and whatever else will bite. Right now, my dad's hooked up with some monster from the deep, and we're gonna keep checking in with him throughout the show to see what happens. Some of you may be asking, why are we playing this fish so easy instead of just locking the drag and horsing him in? Well, I'll give you two main reasons. First, we're only using about 25-pound test on some of these rods. Some have 20, some have 30. So if we lock it down and just try to horse them in, there's a good chance the line can break. Also, we're only using 2 treble hooks, and those treble hooks can rip out of a fish very easily. When you're doing this kind of fishing, just let the drag and the rod tip do all the work. Another mahi-mahi on. Or dorado. Or dolphin, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same fish. Here we go. We didn't want them to get wrapped around that buoy there. Another mahi-mahi. All right, another one in the boat. Another one in the boat. Mahi-mahi. Out of Camp Lejeune. Look at that. Oh, nice big hit in the back.